Hi guys, I'm Julia.
I am Kitty Cat, and today we have a very special guest. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sorry. My name is Harley Harpurr, and I am the producer of the Damn Devillez.
Yeah, so tell us about the Damn Devillez.
So the Damn Devillez is a burlesque troupe out here in LA, and we cater to the goth, rock, and horror community. We're known as LA's underground burlesque troupe, and we're a whole lot of fun. That's what we are.
So how did you get into all of it? Tell us your sexy origin story.
Okay, so my sexy story starts, I guess, high school, I guess is a good place to start. I was on a very competitive dance team, and we were kind of like a sexier dance troupe for a high school dance troupe. In fact, we got in trouble for it all the time. And so I started there. Then I moved to LA. It was hard for me to get into dancing gigs because I was a little bit more sexier and I wasn't commercialized. So I randomly auditioned for a burlesque troupe and I made it. And that is when burlesque started for me. Before then, I got my certificates in dance teaching and choreographic studies. So I went to school for dance, but burlesque was completely different. So the troupe was a little bit, it was a great experience. However, it was a little bit more girl next door, which really I liked it, but it wasn't really my thing. So I decided to just develop my own troupe and give it a shot. And I've been doing it since 2016. So what is that, 4 years now? Mm-hmm. And I love it. It's like one of the best things I ever did. So that's how I started.
So I know you guys do a lot of just things that you might not encounter somewhere else. I know you play with blood a lot, for example. Mm-hmm. You do a lot of fetish kind of dancing. I want to tell one of my favorite Harley stories. I'm gonna segue. Oh, you pause for a second. But I wasn't there, but when you flew and you were covered in blood, I want to hear that story.
So we do a lot of blood, a lot of horror, a lot of rock and roll, and Halloween, October, I call it Devillez season. That's our big time of year. Once a year in October, we have our blood wrestling show, which is a burlesque show mixed with blood wrestling. And like oil wrestling or whatever, but it's blood, so it's fake blood. Obviously, I had to make that clear to some people. It's fake blood, so we just wrestle, and the first half of the show is blood burlesque, so anything with blood in it, and the second half is the blood wrestling when we have a competition. We have a winner at the end. It's super fun. It's a good time. I was for Pinups on Tour. I had to leave because the show got done. I didn't leave the venue till about 2 a.m. I got no sleep. I packed, and I was all bloody from the blood wrestling show. I packed and I went to Violet's house, and then we went to the airport. So I went to the airport all bloody, a little bit tipsy, and just really tired because I had no sleep. And then we ended up in Washington, and I was just and I met Julia's parents all like that too. Hey, and it was during the day now, and it was just it's a little embarrassing.
I didn't judge you.
I just remember not judging you, more judging airport security for not catching the fact that someone was completely covered in blood.
They didn't care. They're just whatever, move along. You're in LA.
They're like, you don't have bombs, you're fine. That's what we're concerned about. Blood's not gonna bring down the plane. Keep going.
Exactly. Yeah.
So where you do the blood wrestling, is that a very specific venue that has the ability to cater because do you do it on the floor? Do you have a ring when the girls do their burlesque acts? Do you put down a tarp?
So the one place we've been able to do the show at is it's actually at a strip club, and the strip club is elevated, of course, like most strip clubs, and it actually has almost like a barrier around it, so that way what we do is we put down a tarp because we have to. We put it on a tarp, and we actually make it so people can lift it if they're in the front row, so they won't get splattered. And the tarp flows over, and that way, if the girls slide around, because it's very slippery, you know, being on a plastic tarp with blood, the girls can slide around. They'll kind of like hit the edges, not hard or anything, but they'll kind of run into that. So that way, it prevents them from falling off the stage. So that is the only venue that I have been able to do the show at. I've been looking at other venues, but it's difficult because there's a liability. You know, of course, everyone signs contracts and whatnot and waivers, but it's just finding a place that's open-minded to it. And yeah, it's mainly because those barriers at the end of the stage that really help. So, and there's not a whole lot of places like that.
It's almost like you need your own wrestling rink, like your own like pop-up wrestling rink.
Yeah. So I thought about like the inflatable blow up, what they use for oil wrestling, like maybe one of those, but I don't know. It's just not as fun. I like the tarp. I don't know. I like the drama of lifting up the thing.
It's more like a murder scene.
Yeah, you know, and there's a giant pole in the middle. It's just more fun that way. So yeah.
Oh my golly, that's funny.
Yeah.
Do you now? I have to say that you were one of the first burlesque troops, in my opinion, that like I saw in my social media feed that jumped straight to going online and performing shows online. And I've actually cited you to other people because you guys have gotten, like, just based on like what I'm seeing on your Instagram feed, progressively better because you've been doing it a while now. You've been doing it like what, 2-3 months now, maybe even 4. But like you can see, like there's a lot of artistry. Like when we had Vixen on, I was talking to her and she had said the fun thing about doing a burlesque show online is that there are tricks that she can't do in real life, but she can do now doing a video version of burlesque. Right.
Our video, I absolutely love our live stream shows. And in the beginning, we started in March. I think it was like March 16th, I think. We started our first show, and it was a little bit rough in the beginning because we're still trying to figure it out. You know, burlesque dancers, well, speaking for myself, I'm not really much of a tech person. I've gotten a hell of a lot better, but just like learning all this stuff is a lot. So I learned everything, and we figured out that the best way to make this a safe show, to continue on to have a show online, is if girls submit videos to me. So they make pre-made burlesque videos and they send to me. And then ultimately what I do is every Friday night at 9 o'clock, I am the only thing that's live and I'm just hosting it, and I'll do a solo at the end. So literally there's me and then my 2 tech guys. I have a co-host now, so I have someone to talk to. And so there's 4 of us, and we're put on this like hour and a half show, and all these girls submit these videos, and it's honestly, Vixen's completely right. It's amazing the way the girls can edit and make these really cool abstract videos. So it's almost like watching music videos,
right?
And I'm just hosting it. So it's kind of reminds me of like MTV or like a TRL, or I'm just like, I'm hosting these music videos of burlesque dances, and it's awesome. And I really like that the girls are being so creative and just coming up with these ideas that are just incredible. So I really like our shows, and I don't know, I love them.
Awesome. I love that. Yeah. I mean, it just looks fantastic. So you know, good on you guys for like jumping in right in the beginning. Now, you also do wrestling, right? I know you're not doing it right now, but you have a wrestling persona along with a burlesque persona, correct?
Correct. So I do, I wrestle for WOW, which is Women's Wrestling. Right now we're obviously on hiatus. Right. And so I'm more of a manager. I manage a woman named Chainsaw, and it's a really good time. It's a completely different world. Yet a lot of it is very similar to dancing and the dance scene. So, because in the end, it is ultimately entertainment. So, and pretty much as a manager, I just, talk to the microphone and yell at people, which I'm great at, I found out. So that's pretty much what it is. And they're very similar. And I absolutely love having 2 worlds because I'm able to do burlesque, which is more feminine and, exercising that side, whereas wrestling is more masculine. So it's kind of nice to have both sides. Because I feel like I needed to work on my masculine side a little bit more.
Now, are you still like a goth persona when you are doing it, or are you a whole different like persona?
So it's really hard for me not to be a goth persona, and I think they realize that. So my name on WoW is Angelica Dante, so it's still kind of like around that thing. And I still look the same. I do my own hair and makeup. They really like the dark edginess, so they let me keep that, which I'm very thankful for, because I could not be, I don't know, a bombshell Barbie. You know what I mean? Like I stick to that.
And when did you get into the goth? Like, was it a very early thing for you, or was it something that was like more middle school or high school?
I've always loved the color black. I've always loved darker things. I used to always have weird things hanging up my room, like skeletons and like fun stuff like that. And I never was really like that in high school so much. I always wore black though, but I didn't really think much of it. And I wore clothes to try and fit in. I always tried to fit in high school. And then it wasn't until college, I would say, that I realized that I don't need to fit in with anyone. Why am I trying to be like this? You know, why am I trying, like in high school, I wore Hollister jeans. I hate jeans. Why do I wear jeans? I don't know. But like I used to do that in high school all the time. I used to look a certain way. And so college is when I really got to embrace myself and be like, you know what? Like, this is the kind of music I like. This is I love skeletons. I love blood. I love horror. Why am I trying to fit something that I'm not? I do like classical stuff sometimes, like I'm a huge fan of Audrey Hepburn and stuff like that. But I love my horror side, and I really want to embrace that and, kind of show that you can be into gothic stuff and still do everything that everyone else does. So I really embraced that, I would say, in college. And now I embrace it to the full maximum.
Now, in terms of relationships, do you find that that's like a determining factor whether you're going to date someone? Like, do they have to be into the goth scene, or have you dated more vanilla people? Or is it nice to have someone who balances you out when it comes to the goth level?
So what I found, I don't date guys goth at all. I like guys that are like, yeah, I guess you'd consider vanilla. Maybe not so much in the bedroom, but like in terms of their looks. Like, I love men that they can't step into the sunlight because they will fry up. Like, I don't know why. I'm like, oh, you got to wear sunblock. Ooh, like that's sexy. I don't know why. But because I tan so easily, so it's almost like I want the opposite of me. I want someone like light hair, light eyes, that has a normal job. I don't want to date someone in the entertainment industry. I want someone that, I don't know, has regular boring job that he can tell me about, and I can tell him about my job. And so someone completely opposite is what I like.
What do you think is the biggest struggle to running your own burlesque company and own business as a creative performer?
I think the biggest struggle is a lot of people think that having your own burlesque troupe means you make a lot of money, which I want to tell you right now, you don't. That is something that people, I don't know why they even think that, but there's a joke where I don't remember exactly how it goes, but pretty much like the difference between burlesque dancers and strippers is that strippers actually make money, which is true. Burlesque dancers don't make shit. Just because I have a troupe doesn't mean I make anything. And I try my best to make the most out of it and to make something out of it, but we don't make money. So I just want to let people know that right away. If you're like, ooh, this might be a good moneymaker, it's not. Don't know. You got to be into it. It's more of like a hobby for me at this point. But yeah, so I guess that's like my biggest thing is that it's not a moneymaker, and you got to love burlesque. You got to love what you're doing. If you don't like it, why the hell are you doing it? It makes no sense, But yeah, I think did that answer your question?
Yeah,
that answered it.
Okay, perfect. I was like, wait a minute,
great. Yeah,
kind of forgot what the question was.
It's true. It's one of the things where people think that if you're producing a show and look, the audience is full, you must be making all this money, but they don't see the marketing expenses and the performer fees. And if you want to pay your performers decently, if you divide that by the number of girls in a show, the ticket sales go away very quickly.
Yeah. It's not a cheap process. It's not an easy process. And I really hope that if someone's thinking about doing it, that they understand all that, like putting everything together and making sure that everyone's safe, make sure that everyone's, following the rules and whatever, and that the venue's happy. It's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah.
So you really got to like it.
I find a lot of times like the girls who do burlesque that are comfortable enough to be a stripper. It's like, they're like, I make all my money in stripping. And then it allows me to buy the costumes to do the fancy stuff in the burlesque.
Right. And that is definitely true, because what also people don't realize is burlesque is a very expensive hobby. Like I personally don't have the money to like buying $10,000 or like $5,000 worth of costumes, but some people do. Like some of these costumes are like bride dresses, and it's just insane how much money is spent into costuming, but that's burlesque. And I'll try my best. I rhinestone everything myself. I try my best to somewhat get on that level, but like I will never be on that level, unfortunately. But that's just how it is. I know what I'm getting myself into, and I enjoy every minute of it.
Now, do you have like your favorite funny story from producing your show? Is there like that time when this happened?
So my favorite funny story, it wasn't funny at the moment, it's funny now, is when I was producing my show, and you got to deal with performers. And one of my performers in particular got too drunk in the beginning of the show. And she did the first routine, because we have group routines as well as solos. She did a group routine, and she left her dress on that she was wearing, not her costume. And I didn't realize it till afterwards, and I was livid. And her solo was next. And it was our Halloween horror cosplay show. So it was all horror cosplay. Mm-hmm. Her solo was The Exorcist. And she was so drunk, and I just said, give me your costume. I'm going to do your solo. I'm already hosting. I got a bunch on my plate, but like as a producer, this is what you got to fucking do. But give me your costume. I mean, her boobs are way bigger than mine. The costume didn't fit. It's like this child looking outfit because of The Exorcist. She got pea soup. I got a freestyle with that. Luckily, I love freestyle, so it's fine. I had a freestyle, bending backwards and doing all this crap. So I had to do her solo. So that way it was just, that spot was saved. And because I already advertised that we had The Exorcist there. And after I did her solo, I threw her shit back. And then she had another solo later on after intermission. So her best friend, I was like, you better sober her up. She needs to get ready for next solo. Luckily, her second solo had a mask on. So I allowed her to do it. And I was like, no one will see your face because you've been crying and you're all red and it's just drama. So she had a mask on, so I let her do that one. But yeah, that was at the time very stressful. I was very irritated, and it's just sometimes what you have to do as a producer. You got to deal with people's bullshit. You got to deal with performers not being professional. And she is actually not my troupe anymore with that and other reasons. But now it's funny. At the time, it was not funny. I was pissed. That's the story I like to tell people.
I mean, I feel you. I mean, it only takes one drunk performer to start making that part of the contract, to be like, okay, right. You can have like a drink, but like if I can tell you're drunk, we have problems.
Right. So definitely I added that in the contract later. I was like, God damn it. And I really didn't want to, because I love drinking and I always have to have like a drink before I start. Yeah. So I was like, damn it, like someone ruined it. So now I got to put that in there. Now it's for everyone. And it's
yeah. I know. Whenever anybody ruins it, I feel you. I feel you.
Yeah.
Now you have fun playing around with Elvira as a character, correct? I feel like I see you in an Elvira costume on Instagram. Is that
no? Right? I've actually never worn an Elvira costume. I think I just kind of.
I think she just looks like Elvira. That's all it is.
It's an Elvira wig. I know you've been buying a lot of wigs lately.
Yeah, it's just I'm looking at it right now. No, it's not Elvira.
Okay. Well, then
it's the long dark hair, and this is not my real hair, so I rock this always all the time. So I don't know, like I guess I somehow I kind of accidentally did that, to be honest. I just like dark stuff. And I mean, her boobs are a hell of bigger mine. I got B cups, she got D cups. That's like the biggest difference, I would say. But yeah, I guess it's the long hair, and I like black, and
Yeah, it's the whole,
Never
it's
mind.
the whole dark Morticia Adams, Elvira type thing.
Yeah. I would do an Elvira routine, but I really feel like you gotta have big boobs for that. So unless I get like the fake boobies and I can do the spider twirl, I'm like, I'm just not gonna touch that.
And what's the weirdest act you've hired? Like what's the one where people are like, that's that? I've never seen that before.
That I've hired, like a special guest performer,
or that you've created, like, you know, something that makes your
I can think of a few that she's created.
Well, you can jump in and explain it to our podcast listeners, Julia.
No, I mean, she has this one with like a skeleton. What's the skeleton? Skeleton has a name, doesn't it?
Yeah, so every skeleton, so that's my necrophilia routine. So it's where I pretty much like dry hump aggressively a skeleton on stage. It's like a metal song. That's known in the DeVilles. It's like a DeVille solo. And that one's pretty aggressive routine. So I can only do that with certain troops, certain shows. But yeah, so my skeletons, after about a year, their hips break off.
I was like, does it hurt? Does it hurt?
Oh, it's like a real man. No,
so their hips break. So what I normally do once their hips break off, I will post online that, hey, if you buy a skeleton off my wish list, you get to name it. So then whoever buys my skeleton will be able to name it. So my first one was Cornelius. My second one was Frank. And then the one I have now he's technically Frank 2 or Frank Jr. So right now I have Frank Jr. and he's doing quite well. He's lucky, quarantine, and he hasn't been too busy. But yeah, so normally they break, and that's kind of like the running joke. Because I always have a new skeleton, and who's gonna name my skeleton type of thing. So
that's a fun little perk.
Yeah.
Explain to people that might not know what an Amazon wish list is, and who are these people that might buy you things off of them?
The Amazon wish list. So I have that. Sometimes I put it up on my Instagram. Sometimes I take it down with my website. But pretty much, like, I have like lingerie on there and props I need, anything burlesque related. Like I said, burlesque is very expensive. And for anyone that's like a fan of mine or that really likes my work and wants to help support me, that's a way they can, is they go on my Amazon wish list and they can buy something for me and it'll get delivered to my place. And then I can take photos in it, or then I can dry hump it on stage, or I can do fun stuff with it. And so that's the point of Amazon wish list, is to help out these artists or performers that could use some help in terms of things that they need for their shows.
and how long have you had yours around?
Oh shit. Sorry, I don't know if I'm allowed to cuss on here, but I've had my wish list.
Yeah, fuck it.
Okay, I do that a lot. My wish list I've had for about 3 years now, at least. And it's been very helpful, mainly for photo shoots. I like to do a lot of fetish shoots and a lot of fun shoots. And sometimes people will ask for me to shoot, in a particular way or a particular outfit. And I said, okay, well, I don't have it. So here's the wish list. And so I use it for that. And it's been a good run with it. I really like having a wish list. And now I really don't advertise it so much anymore. Now that I'm more on the producer aspect. Obviously, I still do solos and I still perform. But my main goal is being more of a producer. So. Yeah.
It's a lot less work than performing in a lot of ways. It's more emails and setup, but there's something that's nice about not having to like talk, host, change, run all the numbers, pay everybody, and do everything. I agree with you.
Yeah, I'm really trying to take a step back and be like, okay, look, I'm just going to have everyone else do everything on the front lines. I'll be on the back end doing everything. And that's where I would, as much as I love performing, it just makes sense. It's easier that way. And it's just, like you said, it's a lot of work when you're hosting, you're performing, you're doing all the things, you're making sure the ticket sales are good. It's a lot. So,
and I feel like at the end of the day, like you get in at a lot of times you become a producer because you were a performer. And then as you become more of a producer, your performing starts to struggle because everything else comes first. So it's like you're doing this, and then you're like, oh, and then I have, it's like I'm like helping everybody backstage in one way, and then I have to do a number, but it's not like the person who gets to sit there and be like, I'm going to do the best act ever. And I'm going to kill it on stage, because they have the time to do that, where the producer never has the time to do that.
Right. And that is exactly right. And I can't do like elaborate costumes or props, because normally whatever my solo is like underneath my hosting outfit. So there's that. But it's like, okay, I got to have something kind of plain and simple. And like you said, I'm doing everything else. And last minute, I'm like, oh shit, that's right, I got to perform. Or like, normally I don't know what solo I'm doing till day before the show. And then I'm like, okay, open my closet. What am I going to do that I can do easily and that I can, try my best. But like for the show tomorrow, I just now started thinking today. I'm like, okay, well, what should I be doing for the live stream show? Because I've been waiting for everyone's videos and, making sure I have everything in order. But yeah, my solo's last, and it does suck because I don't really spend time anymore thinking of new solos or thinking of new fun, creative things. And sometimes it sucks because I'll watch girls do amazing stuff. I'm like, damn, like I wish I had the time to do that. I wish I could come up with something new instead of my old acts, but I can't right now. So with quarantine, I've been able to. I've made actually a few new outfits and a few new acts. And mainly because of the live stream shows, I'm trying to keep it fresh and new for everyone. But now I'm like, well, whenever we go back to real life, whenever that is, I will be able to have these new acts. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Quarantine bonus.
If people want to check out your live streams, where can they do that, and how can they connect with you about that?
So my Instagram for myself is at Harley Harpurr, and that's HARPURR at the end. And for my troupe, it's the Damn Devillez, DEVILLEZ. And our website is www.thedamndevilles.com. That's all on the Instagram, and you can buy the tickets on the website under show tickets, and that's how you get to the live stream show. I highly recommend it. I think it's a great show, personally.
Do you live stream on Zoom? Is that the platform you use?
No. So the platform I use is YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah, I decided to use YouTube. I really like the chat on the side. I like YouTube's setup. It's my favorite. And the copyright music I got worked out, so we're fine on that now. We had a lot of kinks with it in the beginning, and there's a lot of things I wasn't sure about. But the link is unlisted, so you can only see the show if you get a ticket. And I don't know, I really like it through YouTube, and I haven't had any problems so far, so that's good. Yeah.
Well, perfect. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm so glad we got to chat with you.
Yes, it's nice to see you too. And thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be a part of this. So thank you for inviting me.
Of course. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Oh, I love Harley.
She's sweet.
Oh, I know. She's so amazing.
I know. She's like the epitome of, like, how they always say, like, biker dudes look scary, and then when you meet them, they're like the biggest teddy bears in the world. And that's like Harley is the female version of that. Where it's like she's just so sweet once you get to know her.
And I think what's really impressive about her too is, her evolution as a business person from when I met her maybe 6 years ago to where she is now, and thinking about it is just, it's so cool to see, it's so cool to see how a performer can evolve like that. And, and it's nice to see our friend succeeding and doing well and creating stuff. And she used to perform a lot with us with Pinups on Tour before she got so busy with the Damn Devillez. So we love her, and we're glad that we had her on.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh, somebody is ringing my doorbell, even though there was a sign on the doorbell that said don't ring it. Hold on 1 second. Kat, if you want to just talk.
Sure. So I'm just for everybody who's listening, because we're filling time, we're vamping. I am in Lake Tahoe right now, which is amazing. This is the first time I've ever been here in the summer. And all I can say, it's like the most magical place in the world. That's like literally the first time I've ever put a sign on the doorbell that said not to ring the doorbell.
And it was literally, he had to lift up the piece of paper that it was on.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah. Anyways, sorry, you guys.
It's all right.
Live streaming. We can't do anything about it.
Yeah. This is live interaction. This is what real life is like, people.
Exactly. Well, I want to talk about some other kind of lives that you found this week. You were like digging into the lives of Romanian witches, which was so fascinating. I was watching that thing.
I was watching it and I was like, Julia is gonna love this. Like,
okay, so I mean, I really used to like this show, My Big Fat Gypsy Wedding, and this is kind of similar to that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But if you want to tell people basic gist.
So this show is from Vice. It's, Vice is split into like their little divisions, and their female division's called Broadly. And I guess in one of the seasons of Broadly, they followed this older witch, like she's probably like 40 or 50, and her name's Michaela. And she is like the preeminent gypsy Romanian witch. So
for those people watching the podcast right now, I'm circling her with the mouse.
Nice. Excellent. Yes. So what happened was she had a son who at the age of 7, they put into a arranged marriage because as a Romanian gypsy witch, because they said the word gypsy, so I'm allowed to say the word gypsy.
Yeah, they did use the word gypsy, which I didn't know if we were allowed to use.
Yeah.
But then again, I didn't know if it was just like Vice's insensitive translation of their dialect because we don't speak their language. So I didn't know. So.
Right. So according to Vice, they're gypsies. So I'm okay calling them gypsies because I know in the last 5 so years it's become a derogatory term. But so they did an expose on her, and then her kid was getting married, and he had been in an arranged marriage since the age of 7 to this stunning Romanian witch. Like, and it was just it was insane, the level of tradition that had, like, there were so many segments to this marriage to get to the point where like they were even gonna get married.
Well, what was interesting, so they're cousins. Part of what made this marriage so desirable is that being of a bloodline in this witch heritage, they wanted to keep it pure. So there's a very limited number of mates that you could potentially have, right? Like, so that's one reason it was arranged early on, is to kind of like seal the deal and make sure they had somebody lined up. But yeah, they're cousins, and they did all these different spells and rituals and readings to really clarify if this girl was the right person. And they also paid tens of thousands of dollars in a dowry. To her family. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and like on top of the dowry, they said, because it was like a couple of $10,000 for the dowry, but then the wedding itself, they said, was somewhere between 500,000 to 700,000 euros, and like the dress that this woman wears when she's getting married weighs the same amount as she does, and they spent 4 months hand stitching it. Like the witches made it for like every moment of daylight they were making this dress, and this dress is like, it's almost like a hard shell, and for that reason, they did pictures, and then she had to take the dress off, put on another dress so that they could drive to where the ceremony was, and then she was in that dress and she started walking down the aisle, and then they pulled her aside and they put up like a tent, and she changed, and then she continued walking down the aisle, which I thought was so interesting.
It's that it honestly, like, okay, so the TV show My Big Fat Gypsy Wedding is a British TV show, I believe, that me and my old roommate used to watch. And it reminded me so much of that because it was so over the top and so lavish and so gaudy. Everywhere they could adorn something, it was adorned. Everywhere they could spend money, they spent money. But here's the crazy part.
Yes.
crazy part.
I was not expecting that at the end when that happened. I was like, because like, you know, they've been arranged since 7, like, you know, but this woman, the bride, was also a virgin, and the person who was the reporter, who is this Irish girl, definitely had her biases when it came to arranged marriages, because she kept like asking this girl, she's like, I don't know about this, but like if you look at the body language between the groom and the bride, there's none. Like he goes in to kiss her and she like shirks away, like she's like, ugh. So like, you know, 2 months later, this woman gets a phone call, and it's Michaela, who's the mother-in-law, and she says they were preparing for the ceremony where they actually the final
ceremony, the final one,
the final ceremony, which is the losing of the virginity, which is the most important one, right? And then they did some kind of like, they checked out like, and it failed. She was like supposed to walk through a gate or a
circle of fire or something.
Right. And she couldn't do it. So they said she wasn't pure enough. And because she wasn't pure enough, her parents, now they're getting a divorce, or it's the marriage is annulled. I'm not quite sure which one. And her parents have to give the dowry back and pay for the wedding.
It's nuts.
It's nuts. It's nuts.
It's nuts. It's and the thing is that like you just, I mean, cultures are different, arranged marriages are different, but the thing about this one that's so crazy is there's no security in the arrangement. Like normally when the parents set it up and do all the things and pay all the things and spend that much money, there's a level of security that it's gonna happen, you know? So I don't know if that girl was relieved. She might have been relieved.
She might have been relieved. And like, after I saw that part, I'm like, I feel like this, you know, they were saying how the character of Michaela, who's the witch, has become very popular. And like, I do some tarot card reading on the corporate level, and I've done it for many years, like with like an energy website. But like, I once had a conversation in an Uber, and I was talking to someone who also drove gypsies. Like that was one of the things he did in Las Vegas. And he was telling me, like, he's like, you don't understand. These people make tens of thousands of dollars, like giving tarot card readings, you know? And I was like, I make nothing compared to these people. Like, I'm like, I need to get in with the gypsies, like, you know, but like, it's because so much of it's a tradition that you look to these people to guide you. And if you happen to be in a moneyed position, you're like, yeah, I'm going to use an actual witch of this lineage. So like, as Michaela has become bigger and bigger in Romania, and you know, the reporter was pointing out that she now had signs in English, and it said as featured on blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
You know, you start to look at that wedding and you're like, was that wedding just a giant publicity stunt in the way like a Kardashian wedding?
Well, it got her on, you know, it got her on international. Yeah, it got her on international TV and one of the most reputable news outlets in the world. So whether it was a scam or not, bravo. I guess.
I mean, it's still fascinating. It's absolutely like.
And you know what? It apparently wasn't a match made in heaven. So hopefully everybody found their better partner, or not at the end of the day. Speaking of partners and finding your partners, polyamory is becoming very popular these days, which is where a couple dates either multiple people together or individually. And there isn't like a set number of people generally that it's for. But you found, where was this place that first they're legally recognizing?
Massachusetts. Because it wasn't in the article, so I had to do a little digging on that one, because I also got this from my Australian Facebook group, which is based on, it's like it's called the Sexology Facebook group. So like, because of it, I actually thought it was in Australia until I like did a little research, and I was like, oh, this is in Massachusetts. It's in Somerville. And what it was is that they were sitting down because they wanted to change the they wanted to change the verbiage from marriage to like a legal partnership, right? And they were sitting there debating it, like using the terminology, and they were breaking it down, and they wanted to like, you know, make sure that people who were in a unique partnership would be covered, you know, in terms of state rights. But then like, apparently it was a very rousing group of people who were debating it, because then somebody was like, well, why does it have to be between two people? Because the legal language said, it, you know, it is a entity, you know, it went from an entity formed by two people. And then like, and then they were like, well, I guess it could be 3 or 4 or whatever. So they just opened it up. So it's an entity formed by people. And that, you know, any verbiage that they had used before that was he, she, then became they and both. So that like, they just wanted to be like all encompassing on like everything. But it was very interesting, because like, it was almost, they didn't go in with that intention. That intention just happened along the way.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that makes sense. I think it's interesting. I don't know if anybody else is actually going to follow suit. I think there's definitely certain parts of the country that are not going to be encouraged to do this. I wonder how it affects things like healthcare or, you know, other typical domestic partnership benefits, if insurance companies are automatically going to recognize it or not. But I guess that's
probably not.
Probably not. But I guess that's for later down the line. But it will allow them to do things like be in the room at hospitals, hopefully.
Right.
And things like that. So
yeah.
I mean, a step forward. I mean, I guess I don't really care if people, as long as people don't get the tax benefit for being married to more than one person, I really don't care if the other benefits come along with it. You know what I mean? I'm like, I get it. We all get one tax benefit. I get it. But like, if you want to be a partner, then who cares? Or partner, is it a partnership if it's more than 2?
I think that's a good question. I guess it's a partnership. Can't you have you could have a partnership with multiple people in it?
Right? Can't you? Yeah. Right? Why not?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Sure.
Not that
we think so.
You were raised by lawyers. You would know more than I would. Like,
yeah, right. Right.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I found the cutest thing, and it actually made me think of you, because you are a professional cuddler.
I am. Yes.
Which your business, I assume, has been greatly affected by.
I had someone who messaged me in Florida like a month ago, and he's like, hey, do you want to cuddle? And I'm like, oh my God, like, no, I don't want to cuddle. I want to cuddle. But like, if you think I'm going to go to your house and cuddle with you, like in this day and age, like without having a conversation, like I offer it for some of the cuddling website that I'm on, what they did was they you used to have to be charged. I think their minimum was $50 an hour. And then they got a cut of it, right? Then when COVID happened, dropped to like $10 an hour, so that people could potentially do like online chatting if people needed to talk to somebody. So like I have a COVID like virtual rate if you want to, and it's on my website, and it's, you know, on my page, and it says like, oh, it's like half the price. But like, I was like, who is this person who thinks that right now is cuddling for COVID time?
Yeah. No.
Right. But to replace it,
I feel like the virtual talking would just be cheap therapy, but to replace it, so there's this super cute, it's called a Cuddle Robot. The name is Paro, and you can see it if you're watching it on our live stream.
It's so cute.
It's a seal. It's this adorable little seal with these big eyes and this cute little face, and you can hug it and cuddle it. It makes seal-like sounds. It moves its head and flipper in response to being spoken to and touched to. And it's being used as a therapy for people to just sit there and cuddle with this stuffed animal that is responsive and cuddles back.
Right. Yeah. It's it's so interesting because like we talked about this last episode, how you know, somebody ended up, like the TSA ended up giving me a pat down, and it was like I kind of heavily leaned into it. And today I'm in Tahoe, as I was vamping with while you were at the door. And I went paddleboarding, and my sister put on suntan lotion on my back because I've been here long enough that we're like, okay, we're not at risk. But like I was like, oh my God, somebody's touching my back. Like, you know, it's like you miss it so much. And I'm a toucher. Like I'm always touching, I'm talking to people, I'm a big fan of like touching your arms, like your upper arms, like our shoulder. And it's like, there are so many benefits to human touch. Like tactile therapy is such an important therapy in my opinion, which is why I got into cuddling. And as a professional cuddler, I reaped the benefits along with getting paid, that like people just miss it. And as you said, we're probably going to be doing this for the next 2 years. And that's a long time not to like be able to snuggle with something.
It is. And I mean, so basically human contact is found to bolster your mood as well as reduce pain. But it's shown that 60 minutes of interaction with this cute little cuddle bug here helps reduce pain as well as anxiety. It can help dementia patients.
Yeah.
And induce other kind of similar effects to cuddling that human to human interaction does, right. Which is pretty amazing, you know, if especially in a period of time now where people aren't allowed to touch, you know?
Yeah, it's true. It's true. It's the benefits of cuddling when you start getting into the scientific, it's like, in my opinion, it's like off the charts. It's like there's so many benefits to it. So if it's like if you cannot get it through human interaction and you can get it through a seal that will make you feel better, then absolutely do it. You know, it's like sex dolls. Like if that's your thing that's going to make you happy, go for it, because why not? You know, we'd rather you be happy than not.
Yeah. And I mean, I think people are just, you know, a lot of times these are used in therapeutic settings, but with COVID, it's a whole nother application. It's kind of like the Teddy Love that we had on, you know?
Right. When Dr. Wendy said about how like she's, you know, she uses them in hospitals because I mean, absolutely. It's very cute.
I mean, we're all going to have to figure out who we want to let in our personal bubble over the next however long, 2 years. Because I'm not going 2 years without being touched by anybody. That's just not going to happen. So going to have to come up with another solution to that one.
Exactly.
But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's what I have for you, or you have for me this week.
I know. So thank you everybody for listening.
Yeah, so we have so many amazing burlesque videos, including tons of videos with Harley in them on our channel, which can be found at WTTburlesque.com. We can also be found on all the social medias and YouTube at WTTBurley. We will be back with more amazing guests as we try to answer the question, what is better than sex?
We'll figure it out.
Sometime we'll figure it out. Eventually we'll figure it out. Until next time. Bye. Bye.